Beautiful Adventure Destinations presents its Discount Mustafar Getaway. It's a chance to escape the climate-controlled cities for warmth and relaxation. Enjoy the warmth of our endless lava flows from the safety of our force field balconies. We have droid rides, steam baths, and so much more. More lava, that is, and checkout is promptly at 10 Galactic Standard Time.
It's 10:05.
Promptly, warm, and enchanting Mustafar. Everyone loves us. Well, almost everyone. Disclaimer, your safety is not guaranteed. Warmth ranges from 90 to 2200 standard degrees. Late checkout is not acceptable. Bad travel discount. Your vacation doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg.
What's up, you little weirdos and plastic pirates of the universe? Welcome to America's premier toy podcast. We are the sexiest hosts on the internet when it comes to these kind of things. And as always, bringing the thunder from down under, Mr. Alexander Storm, you sexy beast.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
How you doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing, brother?
Oh, I've been good. I've been great. But tonight I'm excited for our date, my friend. It's been busy, huh?
Yeah. Busy the last couple of weeks and looking forward to that because busy couple of more coming up weeks, man. So I always love that when we got something to do.
Yeah, there's when you got something to do, you got things to see and people to talk to and X's to dodge. Hey, tonight's show is pretty awesome. We talked a lot about this. It's a passion project of mine, and I know it is also a passion project of yours, and we are excited about it. You want to give them a little bit of a sneaky peeky, kind of run them down, or do you want to just hit this?
Nah, we'll run the intro and we'll give them back some stuff.
Well, I think it's time we say hello to our friends chatting along.
I will and everything. We've got the Some Warlock. What's going on? Purple Gang Gang. What's going on, guys?
Purple Gang Gang is in.
And we've got also another member, Van Johnson. Van, who just had a birthday last Saturday. So
I
again,
think
we
he's
said it
a
on
I
the
think he's
show.
a delicious 26 years old now.
Well, happy birthday, brother, from us. Then we've got, of course, actually the guy that should have loved that bad travel discounts, Darth
Oh,
Moocher.
he likes it. He's
And
actually been there, I think he told us.
yeah, and he's like, "Hey, sneak peek that shit." He's
Yeah.
okay. We'll get it right down. And we have Dr. Brentley. Good evening, sir. And of course, Van was like, that's badass. Thank you, sir. That new opening, there's all the guys back there. There's all the guys back there. And of course, yep, absolutely. Birthday Van. It's Van's birthday. Yeah, yeah, brother. Like I said, great show, guys. Great show last Saturday, man. It was
fun.
absolutely fantastic, man. You guys always take it up a notch and everything. We try to live in your glory.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Look, hey, there's a lot of talking and a lot of things happening right now with let's just say cost of goods. Patty Atkins, thanks for that great intro. Yeah, I think that this is going to be a big conversation, and
Yeah.
if you've been hearing us talk on our previous shows, and then also over on Action Figure Frequencies, and also on Pixel Plastic Inc., this topic is going to kind of go right along with that. And if you don't know how to read, the title of this show explains it all. We are going to talk about the 5 vintage toy lines that need revival. Now, here is the thing. This is what we have decided. However, the conversations are up for debate.
Yes.
I would say it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to hold any weight, but there are some honorable mentions, maybe ideally. But before we get into that, speaking of vintage, I did run into something that I think I will never find again in my entirety of collecting. One of my favorite lines, Mask. Do you know what I found?
Yeah, I was there at the SoCal Joe show.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
I
Well,
saw
you were
it right
there. Yeah, you were there, but some people weren't. But let me just show you what I found. And now this is one of them, but I found this iguana box. And for those of you who don't know, this is actually sealed. This is not open, nor will it ever be opened. It is a little bit dented on the bottom. But this was one, and this is crispy, and you might say to yourself, well, how do you top that? Well, you find an even harder one to find that's never been opened, and then you buy that one too. And this, my friend, has never been opened, nor will it ever be opened. But this is one of these are some of the ones that I have wanted and found. And I'm not a big collector on I really like the first series, right? But when you find unopened Mask products,
yeah,
you buy them. I gotta go to that FOMO treatment center. You know what I'm saying? Thanks, Van.
Yeah. Thanks, Van. Yep, there we go. Yeah, you know what? This again, we've always told people the smaller shows are usually the better ones. That's when you have like the real vendors, you have the real toy collectors. You can get a sense of those things. So that kind of stuff pops up. San Diego Comic Cons and some of the bigger ones are mostly promotional situations. There's guys promoting things, or sometimes the things can be overpriced. I was very happy to see that most of the vendors had very reasonable pricing on certain items. There was just one that you and I both know. There was a dragonfly there that I thought, from the Haslab, I thought it was a little overpriced. But mostly it was like, it was really good. And also the thing that puts a smile on my face is when you see the little guys pop in. It's the next generation of them, and there were a lot of them that showed up. A lot of them very excited, and that's what always makes it's like the hobby doesn't die with us; it's being revived through others. So that was the good part. Great show. Eben and the rest of the guys over at the SoCal Joe show do a fantastic job. We will be back in December, most definitely. Looking forward to that. I know van and everything. They're about to hit a very good little small show, IshCon, come up as well. So we'll let you guys know all the details of that towards the end of the show. But if you can see the scroll at the bottom, we're giving out tonight's topics that you can follow along with. But are you ready to roll with the main topic tonight, sir?
I am. I am.
And like you said in the beginning, 5 vintage toy lines needing revival. Again, like we've stated and everything we'll put down, we should have actually had a disclaimer roll at the bottom that these views are only solely of Chet and Alex and the Toy Box Chronicle crew. They do not actually are the opinions of everyone else. But if you do have an opinion, that's what it's for. Not only are we asking you guys to subscribe right now, but make sure you put those comments in. So if something you feel is out there that you just think is different, let us know. So, and we didn't, there's not a 1 through 5 tonight, just 5 items, but we did not put our 1 through 5 through them. We're just going to roll with the 5 vintage toy lines we think that needs to roll. Number 1, brother. Number 1. Actually, you know what? Before I even get to that, he is right on that. It's like, you need a revival. Clarence Clearwater. He's right.
Yes, we do.
Yes,
We
yes,
do.
we do. Yes, we do. I I will give him that one. That actually might go as a quote of the night right now. So, uh, rolling in first one. We think first of all, one of the I think memorable, toy openings and just also all around toy songs. Have you ever heard about the opening and everything? Somebody put a lot of work into the Spiral Zone theme song. But this show was, it had a decent run of animation and everything. It just did not catch on. This was also through Tonka, and Tonka was trying some stuff, but it was clearly also in Japan at the same time, so it was a counterpart there. But if we look at Spiral Zone, you know, if you've never seen the animation, you might want to. I know a bunch of the episodes live on YouTube that you can see. Not quite on like made it to any fast services, but you can watch the episodes there if you don't remember the show. Uh, this was one of the early days. Excuse me. One of the early days when they had ran with the 112 scale before anyone else was running, right, Chet?
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is a line that when we were doing the research and looking it up that I honestly I don't understand why it skipped my brain. I don't get it. I mean, it's cool stuff. Like like it was really
Yeah.
cool. Like I mean, it's I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat? Do you guys like this stuff?
Well, one of the reasons why I think it didn't do well, like we've always said this, was that was the era where if the cartoon show, it was a little bit beyond, the sense of like standard children's shows. So I think it
Yeah.
was a little bit, the theme was a tad bit too grown. The animation was good animation, but I think it was just not popular enough. And when you don't have a popular animated show in those days, it really hurt the main line of toys. Plus, also they were more in the now we consider this the grail of toy scales, but 112 then in the 80s was like you had dolls. So
Yeah.
Tonka tried to do something different. I think also too they didn't have a lot of vehicles in this show. They only
No.
had a certain amount of members of the Spiral Zone team, and
There's
so
only
it just
yeah.
yeah, it just doesn't give you a lot of room to like really army build and do like like GI Joe Transformers where you had product of the product of the product that was able to come out. I think you hit like the first couple of waves, and that really what was there to this.
Yeah, this is a line that I'm not gonna say it's easy to collect, but there wasn't a lot.
Yeah. And Darth Moocher said he doesn't remember line. It was like literally it was on the market, off the market. I
It
think
was
like
only
I
it was only so um it was produced by Bandai,
yeah,
I believe. But it was only honestly from 85 to 88.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
there was not there wasn't a big line for that. So
yeah, it
um
literally hit and it just left like
and
quickly as that, man.
I don't remember if the Japan side of the line got bigger than the regular side.
Yeah, yeah, actually, and we'll head into welcome in that guy's stuff. It's so sad that they don't make play sets anymore. And
Playsets. Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think that that's going to change, but I think what the issue is with playsets is I think people are afraid to make them. I
yes,
don't I really do, and I think that's why diorama building is becoming so big. Um
yeah. Well, I think it's the even whether it's the playability of play sets when we were younger, or now it's the I say the shelf aesthetics of having great dioramas because you do want to have you spend your money on some of these vehicles, especially if it's in GI Joe, the Ramen Race, or the upcoming Bandito.
yeah.
And if you were at the SoCal Joe show, you saw the 112 Chop Shop. I see why this is succeeding now because people do want to see something that pairs up their cars, their characters, so yeah, I think I know GI Joe just basically had a new Viper that came out that has like a modular build thing. Let's hope that
Yeah.
catches on and they start doing more of that because I would like to see more play sets as well. Thanks, guys. Stuff that actually makes sense.
Well, and
So
then
again,
like
you know,
if you look at this too, this is one of those
yeah,
things where it's like you can't really tell this is 112 scale, but it is.
yeah,
Um and we're sorry for the blurriness of the photo, but I mean these are hard to find. So this was a really cool line. Unfortunately, it came and went. So
yeah. It's I think if
so sad.
now with especially within the modern Sixers line, maybe a revamp of the storyline, add some extra tears, come up with some more vehicles, do some other newer characters. I think this line's right. And hey, we're in the point where most of these bigger companies are just reviving something. So whoever owns Tonka, which I don't know who owns Tonka, is that Mattel or who owns Tonka now?
Tonka is Hasbro.
Okay, well,
Tycho is Mattel.
okay, well, like I said, they've got opportunity to bring that back. So Spiral Zone comes in, and we're like, "Hey, come back!" So now we're going to move into the next one, which is again, some of these are a little bit obscure. They had one season or so might have to take a minute to refresh the memory here. But in humanoids,
I I love Inhumanoids. I love these. This was a line that I was so excited
Mhm.
to talk about. There's so many firsts that I think Inhumanoids did, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's the thing that I think in humanoids was like if you remember Pacific Rim, it technically was Pacific Rim before we saw Pacific Rim.
Mhm.
Kaijus and everything popping up from the earth and all these, the clandestine team that needs to stop them. If you think about it, they were a little ahead of its time. I know
Mhm.
the figures looked a little, they were on the weird side a little bit here, but that's
Yeah,
what
it's such great articulation too, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And Dr. Brentley actually chimes in that maybe name change Sparkle Zone sounds like a cinnamon roll shop at the airport. You never know. You never know. But there's power in the old names and old IP. So might work itself out. Uh-oh. Now this one right here, Bionic 6. I I'm a
Oh.
huge fan of the animated show. Uh, those they were die cast. Well, some of the parts were die cast on those characters as well. Um,
Mhm.
Great line, but we'll have to see. We will have to see. But that was a very good shout out. Actually, great line. But back to Inhumanoids. Look, the one factor that I give you is like, look, again, specific realm. If you look at the characters, they were battle armored up and everything. They weren't as big as like they were jumping into giant robots or anything, but they had battle mech suits and everything. It's all the classic things that you would think would make a good television show. Yet it's barely remembered now. And again, this is another one that lives on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, you can see like the first mini series is up and everything, but it's not really transitioned into a fast channel. And the same thing like Bionic 6. Like, Bionic 6 had great animation. We need to see that a little bit more too. But this one had vehicles, but they did have a limited team as well. The animation wasn't taken in extremely well. But I thought that this one now, an update on this line, imagine all the, with the characters, you can make them even bigger than life. You can do like, better articulation for the actual main heroes,
Yeah.
vehicles, all the kind this is just like when we look at all the strange things that's out right now, like we're wondering where the Inhumanoids is at, right, Chet?
Yeah. Well, also too, Inhumanoids were like 14 inches.
Yeah, they were big.
Like they were big, which was great because it was when they needed to be that. And I do agree with Dr. Brentley. Like
Yeah.
if they were resculpted, I think that they would definitely have well, there was a guy that I was working with a while back, and he actually redid the Inhumanoids, and I actually have them somewhere here. But
Mhm.
he did a Kickstarter to recast them, and he got the
Oh, okay.
license for it.
Yeah.
But it didn't really go anywhere.
Mhm.
But Inhumanoids was, I mean, the cartoon was fun. It was fun to watch. Yeah, these are cool. I mean, if you were to collect them again, they're definitely just like shelf sitters. I mean, but
Yeah.
they were awesome. You know?
Again, I think a modern update to this line, and like Dr. Brentley was saying, like, with some resculpting and everything else and that, and especially with all the technology that they have now today to make, better articulation points and everything else. Prime for it to come back and everything, but I
Yeah,
really do think that, it either it needs a modern interpretation of the animation. It needs something else other than dropping toys out. It needs some
yeah.
extra help to it. And
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, it does. But this next this next toy line is probably one that I'm going to have to go down the rabbit hole, and
Hmm.
I'm going to have to collect because it's right up there for me for Mask, and it's something that I just like fell in love with again. I saw them finally again in person, and unfortunately all the ones that I wanted to buy someone had already purchased. They were just holding them, and that, my friends, is Starcom.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think this is probably one of the most underrated toy lines because they had everything. They
Yeah.
literally had everything that you could think of,
Well,
and
here's one.
they were a good scale size.
Yeah, here's one that was interesting. They had, I would think probably one of the better Deke animations, and Bionic 6 112 diecast figures would be. It would be.
I
Would be. I'm
mean,
I'm not gonna
that's a
disagree
pretty
with what
rad
saying.
idea.
Yeah, not
A
gonna.
die 112th die, yeah.
Yeah. But the one aspect that I thought the animation was great. It's one of the few deep ones that they produced that had really great animation, along with like the first season of Masters. They were doing some good work out of that, overseas company. But the one level that I think that made it a little different for this one. Now, here in the United States, this line only lasted a short time, but overseas, this line went all the way into the 90s.
Yeah.
So it still was being produced and everything far beyond the success here in the United States, which I always find that funny is that the US Space Force did well overseas more than here. But the Magma Lock, the magnets and the whole design, it was a toy that you did not need batteries for. It was all mechanism and magnets. Very smart. A lot of these toys still work today. That's the thing that makes this really cool. Yeah, some of the, and actually the good thing about it too, Chet, was I've noticed I've seen a lot more pristine vehicles from, because we look at this all the time when we're like,
Yeah.
thinking about this one is one of those where a lot of the vehicles that they have vintage wise still look pristine and new.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah, yeah, and
I
Dr. Brentley said predicting the future, Space Force.
they, they definitely did. I mean, it says it right there.
Yep, yep. We need a revival, skip it. And yeah, I don't remember these probably after my time. I'm old though. Well, we are old. Well, you and I
We're
are.
all old.
That's young. There's a difference, but
Hey, you knock it off. No, look, I know this is going to require a lot of money,
Yeah, they always do.
and that's a bummer. But look, you and I actually, like, a couple months
Yeah,
ago,
we were looking at this.
we decided, hey, let's go in on this. Someone had
Hmm.
like almost a full collection,
Yeah. Hmm.
and unfortunately, it was on Evil Bay, and so
Hmm.
that turned out to be stupid overpriced. Um, I love. I mean, look at these.
Yeah. Look, I
They
think
have like everything you could think of. Like, speaking of play sets, like if you just had all these toys, it was a giant play set.
well, this was like also in the same vein. They took the right approach. I think this is a better size on when it comes to playability, especially because it's
Yeah.
close to the mass size. I think mass is a little bit bigger than the Starcom, but the like I said again, great characters, great animated show. It did last for one season. The show didn't take off, so that was one of those things. It was also one of those shows that were more educational. I think NASA also helped back it to get more awareness into that. So, but they didn't really do a lot of the over teaching. I thought it was a lot of great action. Animation was fantastic. Voice actors were good. Vehicles, I love the vehicles. The Magma Lock thing, it was one of those aspects I think that really did work about this line. I now here's the thing: it is up for revival, but we know the company that is working on it. We're not allowed to say it at the moment, but we've heard rumblings that this is gonna be put into revival. So this, you know, pretty soon might be the more vintage, updated version, kind of like Mask. And it'll be interesting to see if they use some of the old technology or do they just go in a completely different direction. You know?
I think if you're gonna do it, you use the old technology because it still works.
Yeah, it does.
Like, so I've decided, saying right now, that I'm gonna collect this from the left, starting on the left and working my way down this first page, and then I'll work my way on the second page.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, Starcom. So, we've got and it's like, yeah, it's like you said, got to use magnets. And hey, that stuff's still readily available today too. And the magnets are even stronger than they were in the 80s. And the best part about again, most of these items still work. When you see that magnetic magma lock feature go out and everything, you're like, wow, I can't believe this toy is still working. But
Yeah,
that goes to show that they really did produce really good work. So,
yeah.
there we're gonna jump into the next one, which I know it's this is one of the all-time favorites of
This
Mr.
is
Maddox.
I am going to say this now to all my fellow Purple gangs, because I know you guys are all on the East Coast. Please hit me up if you see any Dino Riders while you're at your shows, because there's a high probability I will cash app you money to pick it up, because uh I I'm just gonna say this. I need this line in my life again. And I only have one, and I was gonna buy more of it from that toy store that was out here in Temecula.
Yeah.
And then they went down, and that's a bummer because I really wanted the line. Um I love this line.
Yeah.
Tycho did such a good job with this line, and you know, someone is just sitting on it, not producing it right now.
Well, I think sometimes, like I said, there must be a reason for it. I don't know if they see the logic in it, but we
Look at the
will
logo.
yeah, yeah, well, we'll go back and everything. Yeah.
Look at that logo.
Great logo. Great logo. You know?
It's very correct too, because that's about as far as his little arm could go out of a little triangle.
Yeah. Hmm.
He's a T-Rex. Can't reach very
Well,
far.
but we take a look at the actual toys and everything. So now we were in Toy Atlanta, and I'm never gonna say that someone was a direct ripoff or anything else like that because that's not what it is. I'm just saying that there was a gentleman there that had a Dino Riders inspired line of stuff himself. He pushed back and he said it wasn't Dino Riders in every possible way, but it was Dino Riders inspired. And I thought while it was a very good representation, I thought Tycho did a pretty damn good job back in the 80s. And this stuff still holds up. The dinosaurs look fantastic, bro.
And I know a lot of people want the T-Rex, myself included, but the Dilophosaurus is really hard to find,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it's massive.
yeah, I said now Dr. Brenn's right. This should have been the next Jurassic Park. Mattel's, they're I don't know what they're doing. They've got the
Yeah, and
line.
this is and that's just like an honorable mention because we said that there would be some, and I have an honorable mention for this. In the dinosaur realm of toys, right?
Mhm,
You had Dino Saucers, which, if you
mhm,
don't remember, the whole theme of Dino Saucers was a military group went in and then became dinosaurs.
yeah.
And I'm gonna plug his channel. I don't know him. I've never talked to the man, but there was an episode on Froggy Flips where he got a hold of like prototype, never made Dino Saucer figures,
Mhm.
and I had to walk away from.
A little bit
I
too
was
much for
upset.
you, huh?
It was intense
Man, well,
because I was angry that I didn't get it.
it can get that way at times. It can get that way. Well, like I said again, I think the mech looks fantastic. The dinosaurs look great. The humans were the least of this, but they're very good figures for what they were from Tycho. Especially because if you think about Tycho, we all know the name is synonymous with like racetracks or Red Alert and everything else. But like this was
Slot
them
cars.
jumping. Yeah, this was them jumping into like an IP that they basically created from the tail up, and use a dinosaurs thing to tell up. But
Yeah, no, I
I
got
think
you.
I think they did a fantastic job. Like Darth Moocher said, and like you and I have also experienced, you're not going to find a cheap Dino Rider.
No,
Dino Riders
and
do not go cheap.
by the way, the cartoon is great.
Yeah, it is. And that's another one that's not on the Fast channel. That's another one that, you've got to go to YouTube or search like, all over to find. And a lot of these, like, maybe they need to have like some kind of like forgotten cartoon channel or something where they just drop them in for some of these lines that didn't work, or maybe like, a toy tune line. But I really would like to see this series again. I really would like to see something. You said Mattel owns this, right? So, like, what's going on with them? Like, they've got the Jurassic Park. If you want to repurpose a lot of the Hammond line and everything with some dinosaurs and add some stuff, they know how to make dinosaurs. We know they know how to do
And
that.
they're testing the water because the new line that they released for Jurassic Park
Yeah.
has some resemblance that they're kind of toying with the idea, because there are some toys at great prices that I'm just saying they come with a person. The person can ride them, but
Mhm.
that's Jurassic Park. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'll tell you, if we get into the situation where, like, at one part or another, like we end up seeing like in the Jurassic Park the movie, like somebody riding a dinosaur, we're gonna be like, okay, wait a minute. This is like, what's going on here? If I see any military people or everybody's strapping things on, we're like, okay, you might need to push some stuff out here a little bit more. But I think that it's great line. I'm hoping it has a revival back. Mattel, like I said, Mr. Maddox, you've already got a built-in customer right here, and kids and dinosaurs and adding that little element to it. Oh yeah, bro, I think that would work. So we leave the Dino Riders, and we're coming to the number 5 one, and this one was as we were thinking of it. We were like, okay, well, what's the last one that goes in? And I think the one that actually pulls in a point, it is from a legacy company. It's from Hasbro, obviously. But the last one is Visionaries. Reason why is that this one, first of all, good animation they had today. Again, don't think it caught on to the overall public as well.
No.
But the figures, I'm starting to see these figures like go up in pricing, and people are purchasing them more and more. And the one main element is that they had the hologram element, and I'm starting to see a lot of these with the actual holograms intact.
Mm-hmm.
So there's love the enthusiasm of this. Oh fucking yeah. So we know we know there is a visionary fan out there. Thank you much for bringing that up. And Dr. Brittley said he never heard of this. Yeah, well, yeah, Dr. Brittley. Like I said, we got to get some
They
more
were
education for his toys.
yeah, they were Sunbow.
Yep, Sunbow. Yep, same people that did GI Joe and Transformers, the first waves of them. But so technically Marvel, because it was Marvel production company, Sunbow.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
a lot of great ideas, and a lot of people don't know also Sunbow did the RoboCop show too from the 80s.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah. But this one was just look. I think it's like the characters were great. They had pretty cool powers. You could have like the imaging that would come out of 'em on the show at his energy. It was really like kind of like Knights of the Round Table, but like really kind of updated modern wise. The
Hmm.
characters you could already there were vehicles, there was sword and sorcery. It was just all a mixture of stuff going here that I really think that was like above its time. I think if it came out now, it'd probably do a lot better than it was then because a lot more sci-fi and things like that work now.
Well,
Dr.
yeah.
Baldwin said. So, which one of these lines with Hollywood will try to make a live action movie from? That I could see Starcom first and maybe Dino Riders. I don't know about
Mhm.
Inhumanoids and everything, but I think Starcom because it's just a space thing and they're always looking for a counterpart to Star Wars or Star Trek. And then I think with Dino Riders, it just Jurassic Park is a huge thing, and I think that could come back that way.
Yeah, it was a what was it? Spectral Knights and Darkling Lords or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, if you turn the page and look at some of these, and again, they had vehicles. They had this line did have a lot of characters, so this didn't suffer from like a small team. Like they actually had a bunch of characters, had a lot of villains, had a lot of heroes. Uh, Interesting vehicles, a customized made chest plate for the Mythic Legions that was in the style of Lenny Patino. Okay, all right. Well, there you go. Like I said, I definitely like that. But when you look at these, you're like, yeah, I Hasbro. I know that they did bring they put some characters in that San Diego Comic Con exclusive pack where they did all their lines where they had the newer version of Mask, GI Joe, Transformers. They had I think Micronauts, if I'm not mistaken, in
They did
in
have
that same box
Micronauts. Yep.
thing. And then they also had the Visionaries. So they had I think that was that not the IDW pack? San Diego one?
Which one? It was the IDW pack because
It was the
IDW
ID.
did the first issues of all those. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, so they've teased it the same way they teased Matt Tracker, and maybe this is one that we see Lowell Subjects or somebody else get the license to, because they seem like they didn't want to actually do Mask, which is just mind-boggling to me, man. That they did not want to. I would have thought that would have been like one of those cash flows for them. So we'll have to see, but I think that this line right here is one of the better ones, and I think that this
Look
is
at
probably one that will get revived real quick too.
look at that photo on the right.
Yeah. You also need to bring back Chris Starr in full. I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. Great character. And Visionaries was so good it could be watched in YouTube. Yep, that's like again, some of these shows, why aren't they actually playing and building up a little bit more excitement with them? They've got the opportunity to
Yeah,
test the waters with them.
I just don't. Okay, look, this is what I'm gonna say. So we just witnessed the proof being in the pudding or the yogurt or whatever you like, ice cream, maybe. I don't know. They released, and hear me out, okay? They released Revenge of the Sith in the theater,
They did.
along with other movies that are new that they came out with that were like, these are gonna do great. And Revenge of the Sith basically passed $1 billion, and the other movies didn't. So here is a prime example, and I know Moocher, you're right. Star Wars.
Mm.
But we even talked about this when we were at the at the
Star
show
Wars trivia?
with
Better
yeah, it's
days?
Star Wars trivia. Sorry, my
Mm.
brain's not working right now.
That's all right.
When we were at Better Days, we were talking about this, and like, wake up. I mean, honestly, seriously, wake up, because like Revenge of the Sith, $1 billion movie that has been out forever in the theaters, blew everything else out of the water, was enjoyable to watch. And and if you just put that effort into revitalizing some of these toy lines,
Yeah.
you know, like, people will buy the toys. I mean, how many times do you see Marvel releases a legend that no one asked for and it's never sold out, and then it's like, found this at Ross. These are
Yep.
showing up at Ollie's.
Mhm.
Wouldn't happen if you released Dino Riders. Would not happen.
No, no, no. I will. Like I said again, I think there's, I also give the point where I think the one good thing about reviving these lines, it number one draws awareness to the original line, but because the newer characters come out in the newer line, it actually helps lower the price of the vintage stuff as well. Because there's certain people that are look, we take it for granted. We're toy hunters. We go out, we look for stuff. We go to, all kind of swap meets and all kind of other places looking for that, the antique shops and everything else. But there's certain people that just don't want to do that. So this new mask line from Lowell Subjects is for the guy that just wants to go on the shelf and he's got a rhino, he can pick up one and it can be on the shelf and he's fine. No toy hunt needed. You just order it online. I think the same thing would work for like Visionaries and some of these other ones. It's if they came out with the newer lines, it would drop the price of the vintage stuff. And so the guys that wanted to go out there and just straight toy hunt and look for the vintage stuff could do that. But also the people that just wanted modern figures, kind of like the same way with G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, and Classified. You've solved that. I would
Mhm.
love to see the Visionaries jump up in size to a 6-inch, and maybe there's a projector, some form of, because they have all this technology now, so you could do something where you can put a light up feature in them, whatever it is, but add a little extra flair with that and their staffs and everything else. But I would like to see that, and again, it makes the vintage stuff come down from reasonable pricing as well because you're kind of contributing to two different buying audiences.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, don't, we talked about this, and um I understand Loyal Subjects is redoing Mask, but it seems like, and just from the pictures, it just seems like all they really did was add on like blast effects.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what they did with the coloring, whether it's gonna stay what they showed or whatever. But hey, we're in May now, and July 1st they go on sale. So
Yeah.
let's see what it is. And um, you know, unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna be the price that they said.
No,
So
I think it's going to be a
yeah.
slight tick up from it, but hey, with all in all things, that is what it is. It is what it is. If you're still going to collect, just collect. Just there might be some choice selections. There'd be certain things that that you might want to differ in your purchasing powers. But those are
Yeah,
five
these are
lines.
great
Look,
though.
if we want you guys to put in your comments below, or especially for the replay crew, if you got something that you thought that we missed, because this is just the first five now, just
Yeah.
like last week we said that we're going to add on to these, so we're starting to do a little bit of some list of things and some countdowns, and so we'll have a next five of this somewhere down the line in another Toy Box Chronicle episode. But again, we've already got Beyond Bionic 6. So
Mhm.
that's a worthy candidate for the next five.
Well,
So
not to mention too, we want to do a deep dive on toy lines. So like, would love to hear what everyone wants us to do our first deep dive on, like which
yeah,
toy line. And we're talking like, it could be vintage to modern, and we'll do all the research and kind of get into it and kind of explain like what's going on with it, because I think that it's an art that needs to be explained and needs to be understood as to like why it's there. And uh I would be curious to see what everyone wants us to do for our first deep dive.
all right.
Guts.
Darth Mooch is putting his hat in the ring. And
Guts
if
is good.
if we haven't told you, Darth Moocher, part of the Sorlak Digest podcast that comes on directly after us tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And actually, the best feature that you're gonna watch the show, and the minute that the show ends, it's gonna drop into that show. So you don't even have to go anywhere. Just keep watching, and then you can just go on to the live stream Wednesdays, which there's a little schedule that's scrolling down below. It's not just us; it's Toy Mercs, and it's Toy Box Chronicles, which is us, and then Starlight Digest podcast, and Purple Gang Gang is knocking things out on Saturday night. If you haven't seen their live streams, you most definitely want to watch. It is what they call an experience of fun.
Yeah, also this Friday, or sorry, this Saturday
Yes,
is
sir.
they're gonna have an awesome guest on.
Mhm.
And you should check it out. We talked about it on Action Figure Frequencies. But yeah, I would definitely say head over to them
Saturday,
this
6
Saturday,
p.m. Saturday,
6
6
p.m.
p.m. Pacific time. So, most
I really
definitely
love
check 'em out.
Visionaries.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm staring at this and I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna complete the vision and everything. We're gonna get to the next point. Is that this is one that's been gripping. We've seen videos all over the place of this, and this is one we're not going to shy away from talking about because a lot of opinions are out there, but unfortunately, the fandom's opinion is the correct one on this. And we will just say that there are some bad contributors out there. We're going to point them out a little bit tonight. There's got to be a little something else done on this because fandom does not need to be exploited; it needs to be accelerated. So we're gonna hit this up, but Hasbro, they held off, and I give them credit. They could have been the first in line to jump up their pricing and everything, but they really held this for as long as they can. And I think they're trying to see if there's anything that changes. But we knew once the secondary toy companies started doing this, it was a certain point that they were going to do it. So if you have not put in any of your pre-orders, I will tell you that it is the time right now. It's May the 7th. You've got until May the 9th at 12. Is it let me make sure
12:01
there's
Eastern
Eastern. So yeah,
Daylight Time.
daylight time. So you make sure that you're putting in that your pre-orders in and locking in those orders, because obviously if there's a classified or a transformer or anything that you're looking at, it's going to jump after price, and they're going to actually put on whatever pricing it is after midnight. Well, 12:02, you'll probably see that pop up, but at least there's a little bit of pre-warning. They're telling you about it. They did not start this from the beginning. So we don't think there's a bad contributor, but Super 7, and I know you guys have seen these videos on YouTube. Super 7, Entertainment Earth are the two bad contributors. Months before anyone else started this, Entertainment Earth did some moves that we here on the channel just couldn't actually support. But it seems like Super 7 is doing the same thing on items that they already have in a warehouse here in the United States. In stock items. These are not something that you're getting overseas or anything else. This is something that's already here, that's in a warehouse. Logistics has been paid, and they're already jacking the price up on their website for in stock stuff. This is the part where I'm saying this is despicable, Chet.
This is a dumpster fire of trash. Like I understand. Love you too, dead man. Good show tonight, guys. I look. I have a legitimate problem with this trash.
Yeah,
Like I get it. Look, I understand that you have to figure out how to adjust for cost.
absolutely.
I get it.
Mhm.
I understand it. And we talked about this on Action Figure Frequencies, which
Yeah,
will drop this Friday, where you can hear some a little bit more in depth, where I get a little nerdy on numbers and things. But this is complete garbage. This is it's tomfoolery. There's no reason to up product that you already have.
yeah.
And my whole theory on this trash is that you're just upping the price because you don't want those to take away from the ones you're importing.
Yeah.
So, like, why else would you? And look, I'm going to call it now. $29.95 is what Hasbro's going to move all their figures to. It's
Yeah.
$29.99.
Mhm.
That means that Superior Extreme Waste Spider-Man and Maximum Lost Hulk is going to jump up big time. It bums me out, man. It really bums me out that they are going through and upping stuff that's already in stock. And hats off to Hasbro for holding out for so
Yeah.
long and
Mhm.
and putting it up there of like, hey, we want you to get the price you can get now, but we're going to up it. And I will say this too, over on Nerdzoic, he did a stream. He talked about the prices of everything, and he talked about, hey, if you pre-ordered it, I'm not going to charge you more because I
Yeah.
look at pre-orders like a contract. And
Mhm.
this is a thing. This is what people need to do, and this is why we've been delving so deep um into like indie toy lines and into
Yeah.
like indie toy shops. And a prime example of customer service is like I had an issue with my Ganesha figure. It
Yeah.
didn't get delivered properly. I couldn't find it. I called FedEx. I told him this guy said it was delivered to an address, but he said he didn't have my apartment number. I emailed and talked to Mythic Legions and was like, hey, I can't find this figure. I tried to talk. FedEx said because it's your account, you have to have Mythic Legions call them. And then finally, randomly out of nowhere, a guy showed up and said, "Hey, this is in front of my house." So I got back to Mythic Legions and told them like we're good. Like this was taken care of. But this is the kind of thing where when you look at Super 7, you look at Entertainment Earth, you look at, I don't think Big Bad Toy Store is doing it. um why but what is give me the bird's eye view as to why you're charging more money for things that you already paid the imports, you already paid the fees, they're already stocked, you've sent them out to like your mom and pop distributors. Like what is the purpose of that? Indie
Yeah.
toy companies like Four Horsemen and D13 are doing customers better than bigger companies. They absolutely
And,
are.
and
Ace does a good job too, you
I
know.
will say this one aspect, especially about the D13. I know the Purple Gang gave us initiative that they're actually, putting together and bringing items and making sure that his information gets out there too. He did a solid stand-up move as well. And I know that, like I said again, we all understand the economics of this thing. It's right. Like a lot of indie toy companies are running through the problems, but at least they're standing up and saying, "Hey, man, this is what's going on. This is what we're doing to combat this." And I 100% respect someone that tells me up front and lets me make a grown person's decision. Either I can cancel my situation, but it's to surprise it, to do the things that I've seen, like hey, we love Big Bad Toy Store. A lot of things. There's a lot of affiliate things that roll in with us on that as well too. But to put hey, there's this is priced in, but if God knows a tariff coming, we're gonna jack it up for this price. We know, yes, Purple does
And
love
yeah,
D.
purple does love the D. We know that. And also D13. We're highly aware that purple loves D and D13.
But it's like, let the consumers make a decision. Let them in every possible way have the opportunity to make the decision. I think when you rob them from that, that's where it becomes a little bit more of a, slight disservice. This one right here, Super 7, look, we will be honest with you. I've rarely ever seen anything the Super 7 I thought did extremely well, but we said this on Action Figure Frequencies. We were in a Target and they had a version of a Godzilla that was a scaled version of it that was fantastic. And we're like, wow, okay, this is actually pretty good quality. And we were going to shout that out. And, and then all of a sudden we started to see these other things.
Then
I
they
don't
hit
know.
us with the whammy.
Yeah, I don't know what, I don't know they're thinking behind, but also I'll say this. Um, there might be some problems with them if they're doing this at this point. Because when you start going on and maximizing every dollar in every situation, things look, I would keep my eyes on Super 7 and Funko and some of these other places that were big spenders. and now the toll's being cost on them because they're doing things out here that's not looking cool. And the same thing with Entertainment Earth. I suggested this on the other shows that we do. Like, if you can get it from Hasbro direct, then get it from them. If you can get it from like, Ramen Toys, or you can get it from the Four Horsemen, get it from them
Odd
because
Frog.
Odd Frog Entertainment, Uru Toys, Grindhouse. Again, when we say we're going to be the home of indie toys, we are going to push that initiative on you guys because these are people that's out here really just trying to make things to get into fans' hands, but they're not looking at how can we exploit the fan. These bigger companies that sit on the board with a whole bunch of Spiro toys. Yes, the AWOC figures, absolutely. I'm just pre-reading a certain situation we put on screen, but yeah, there are a lot of companies out here that are doing the correct thing. A lot of indie guys are like, we want to get product to people's hands. I'm not trying to charge the maximum for it. And then there's these corporate boards that's like, we don't care about the customers. We're going to do whatever we need to do because we've made decisions that our bottom lines can't hold up to. Hasbro, as much crap they get for a bunch of other stuff they did, they tried to hold out the best as possible. And also, I'll have to say, I haven't actually seen anything from Mattel doing this yet, but I know that's going to come because when the Hasbro domino falls, the other ones are going to fall as well. NECA's probably going to line themselves up because they got to pay for a purchase at Diamond. So, they're
Well,
going to be pleased in our
yeah,
pockets.
no, I mean Mattel did have a news article. They talked about it. They didn't make any like blanket statements yet.
Yeah,
But
it's going to happen
things
soon.
things are going to happen. I don't know. Like,
Well, here's the thing,
it's
Toy Box Chronicles, we usually just it's a catch-all for the week on the modern toys and everything. If you want to hear some choice language or some other stuff, you need to be listening to Action Figure Frequencies over on the Bandito Radio, where you get your podcast from. But also, it has its own independent channel. If you have not done this, subscribe to us. But if you haven't jumped over there and also went on Bandito Radio and subscribe to them because the Action Figure Frequencies is where we do really deep dives into the world of toys, toy company, and all about that. And if you want to hear a longer and an analytic based conversation about profit and loss and things like that, that's where you should be going. Also, Purple Gang, Full Frontal Purple, they're on the Bandito Radio. Great musicians. Myra's Morgue of Midnight Madness is on there. You hear some old time radio shows and dramas. It's all there. If you're into toys, a toy enhancer in any possible way, if you're like customizers, if you're like, just the person that just likes toy hunting and having something in the background that you're listening to, this channel is made for you. So tell your friends, make sure to go on over subscribing. It's spearheaded by David Vonner. This was one of his personal projects. This is a person that loved toys. He wanted to do something that brought it out. Odd Frog Entertainment too. We're just right there on the forefront of things. So we're so happy to be over there. And but you can hear deeper dives than what we're going to do because we usually try to keep the show as PG as we can. This subject gets into a very R rating over there.
yeah, we'll keep it at that.
Yeah, because there's some colorful words that I see Mr. Maddox would use. They're like, we'll save that, but you know what? This is what we should do. You save and everything else like that. It's like make sure PG-17. We almost, I tell you that it's almost going to another level. It's more NC-17 of what stuff we were going to save with these guys. But it is what it is. Enjoy the toys, enjoy your thing. Don't get overwhelmed by this. Don't let it stress you out. It's supposed to be a hobby. You're supposed to enjoy it at the end of the day. If it's giving you stress, then step away from it because that doesn't make any sense. You want to have something that you can decompress from work on, and a lot of this was, and now this is getting just as stressful as you being at work. you know, just, that and just take a chill and think on it. But again, look at some of these independent toy companies and really start thinking where your dollar's best serving because you're getting the original ideas from a lot of these independent toy brutal realms, and I've seen so many great products, so many great works, and that mentions it since we're saying this as well. Next week we're probably gonna have another 5 for you guys coming up here, but on the following week after that, on the 21st, uh, Mr. Maddox, you want to announce who's coming on the show?
Yeah, we're super excited. On the 21st, we are going to have Mr. Christopher Scott from Grindhouse Toys.
Indeed.
Is going to be on the show to go over some things that are happening in his world and the world of Grindhouse Toys. So Chris Scott is going to be great. He's a fantastic guy. If you haven't seen his stuff, it is awesome. He's one of the only people I know that has 3 3/4 inch figures on eBay that are $294.
And wholesome word of luck is to point out Chris is dope. Absolutely. And it's a visionary. It's the thing that you're getting. Not only is his action figures great, but the packaging takes it to another level. And we got to see that at Toy Atlanta. And I got to tell you, that was probably the thing to put a smile on my face when I saw that, because it has a nostalgia feel. The minute you see it, you like, I've been here before. And it's great packaging. Anybody wants it. He up packaged what Hasbro did, and when you guys have them on the 21st, you'll see. But this is another great indie toy maker, and also too, I think Mr. Vonner is going to make a stop by here for a couple other things. And actually, I'll tell you, on the Shadowe Network, we can announce this a little bit out and everything. Mr. Vonner is in the processes of going through all the busy stuff that he's knocking out, but he has expressed interest with running a show on the network. So it's going to be very interesting, some of the stuff coming up and everything. So we give you a little insight. That was our tease, is that David Vonner is looking at the Shadow News Network.
David Vonner he will have a podcast that lives on our network, and we're excited about that. We're also excited. So there's a group of individuals that I've worked with in the past, and I've known them, and they came to us, and they've talked to us about what's been going on between Odd Frog and Purple Gang Gang and SKN, and just kind of like the toy culture. And they wanted to do something to support it, and we're getting behind it, and it's going to be new for them, but it is run by a bunch of industry vets, and it is called holygrailtoys.com. So they are in the process of getting that ready to launch, and this is where you're going to be able to find all of they talked with us, they talked with everyone involved with SKN and Odd Frog. And that's going to be the home of all of our merchandising. But what is awesome about Holy Grail Toys is, if you're someone that's indie and you don't want to get through all of the eBay fees, you don't want to do whatnot fees, and you just want to put your collection up for sale, and you guys have ever heard of the sneaker game where, like if you think about, if you were going to spend $2,500 on Unicron, you'd want to make sure that you're getting what you get. So Holy Grail Toys kind of functions like that. You spend over a certain amount of money, it gets sent to Holy Grail Toys, they validate it, and then they send it out to you. And so it's just a way of kind of bringing in that part to the culture. And on that, their toy store is based around people's independent collections, vintage toys, and then the indie toy lines that we're talking about. So you won't find anything that's like of the big brands, unless it's someone's vintage collection. Like if I wanted to sell some of my Build-A-Figures or something like that would be up there, but you won't find like any of the new like Marvel releases or anything like that. That's not what they do. So we're really excited about Holy Grail Toys. More on that to come. But we are going to be at a toy fest called Robo Toy Fest, and that is coming up when, Mr. Storm?
That is June the 8th. Sunday, June the 8th. We will be there. And like I said, again, like we've been doing from Toy Atlanta, and we did it to SoCal Joe Show. We will be live streaming from the actual SKN booth, and it will be next to Bandito and Bandito Radio. So Odd Frog Entertainment will be there as well. And also, guess what? Holy Grail Toys is going to pop in and make a little appearance over there as well. So, again, if you haven't watched any of the live stream we've done, it's to give you an insight into the industry. If you can't make it to a show, you can kind of see a show. So, Toy Atlanta, we got a lot of positive feedback. A lot of vendors from the SoCal Joe show hit us up in the DM saying thank you for showing out. It just gives a little bit of a light. It's not to exploit, but it's just to bring awareness to the great vendors and the great indie toy makers and the standard toy makers that are there. And if you haven't had a shot in this situation to, come to one of those shows, you can see what it looks like. So we'll be there.
Yep.
June the 8th, we will be there. It's a one-day event on that Sunday in Burbank, California.
And yeah, it's exactly. It's like StockX and Goat. Yep.
Mhm.
Also, precursor. If you've ever heard of LA Comic Con, stay tuned.
Yep.
So that is more to come on that, but we just want to put that out there now.
Yeah.
Just stay tuned.
Well,
We're excited.
Again, if you haven't done it, make sure you actually drop a follow or sub to the channel. Get those likes up and everything. And then, you know what? Stay tuned. Put your seatbelts on because you're getting into the next 3 episodes of Andor over at the Sarlacc Digest podcast, or like we like to say, the best damn Star Wars podcast on anywhere in the actual known universe. You've got Scott Soul over there, Grand Admiral Frets, and of course, Darth Moocher. Make sure you're tuning in because guess what? You have no choice. We're about to sing you over there. Chet, let's close out the show, my brother.
That's right. So you have just now, and we're talking to all 130,000 of you guys tuning in right now across multiple galaxies, far, far away, and get your lightsabers ready. Keep chasing that plastic dragon, and until next time, we'll see you, and we'll actually see you on Friday. So hang tight and enjoy the show with Sarlacc Digest.